Tragedy claws away at the last shreds of sanity of a mentally disabled gent that just strives to fit in a society, by the way, that's pretty stinky.
It's not great.
It's not great, man. Gotham in Joker, the movie, is on the brink of a breaking point, if you will. All fueled by not only the urban decay, but the class divide. All this bubbles into the perfect brew as we witness the birth of chaos. This is quite the flick.
Also known as Coringa.
Yeah, man. Joker was kind of like a flick that just... it was destined to at least be financially successful. It's the Joker, one of the most magnetic forces and characters in comics. Yeah. And every time someone plays him, it's an ordeal.
Every single time he's beloved, much like Jared Leto. You know, everybody loves him.
Oh, everybody loves him.
Yeah.
It's always a point of controversy. It's always a point of discussion whenever the Joker is portrayed. Is it always good? No. But I didn't think we were ever going to see the day when somebody not only beat Heath Ledger's portrayal, but just like left it in the fucking dust. Like, don't get me wrong. Love the Heath portrayal.
You're Heathite.
I'm a Heathite.
Yeah.
But this thing literally, not even joking, left it so far behind that it's like it's not even there. It's not even the fucking rear view, man.
Yeah.
It's like gone. Which is shocking to me. Because that portrayal was excellent. Yeah. I'd argue that this is the best superhero comic-based movie yet. It's going to be hard to beat this one.
Yeah.
Now, there have been movies based on comic books that are on par or might compete with it, but I'm talking superhero based.
It's always like the side ones. You know, like History of Violence or something.
Yeah,
like
exactly. That's a good one.
It's never
History of Violence. It's not about superheroes, but it was a comic book. This is as traditionally we think of comic books as superhero material, although they aren't, of course. But I think as far as superhero-based comic book movies go, this is this is the best one. And you might be thinking, well, I mean, come on, there's bound to be another good. No, I'm talking like literally, it left those motherfuckers in the dust even more than Heath Ledger was left in the dust.
Yeah,
like this is not only a good comic book movie. This is a good psychological drama. And then previous to this, I would have said that The Dark Knight is possibly the best superhero-based comic book movie that we have, because it is not only a good comic book movie, it's a legitimately good crime movie, and that stands true. Don't get me wrong. This is not that, and even if it was, it would still be leagues better than that. I mean, it's really fucking shockingly good. That's not to say that I went in with low expectations. I literally went into this just seeing the first trailer. That's it. I made a point not to fucking engage in any conversation, read any article, nothing. If something some info did creep my way, it was because of you. And I don't know how barren you came into this.
I didn't know anything plot-wise or anything.
Okay.
I was just basically heard whatever creeped up like you.
Right. So we went into this like virgins. Can't wait for those comments.
Yeah.
But
stayed that way.
But it proved all the more beneficial for this experience because it was like getting a gut punch watching this movie. Joaquin Phoenix, of course, is one of the great modern actors. We love him, period. So that was exciting. That was really, to me, that was the most exciting thing going into this movie. I knew that at least it was in hands that were capable. Yeah. He couldn't do worse than Heath Ledger. I knew that. But I was thinking he's going to do his own rendition and it's going to be on par with Ledger's, although different.
Yeah. The fuck.
Yeah. But as aforementioned, literally just dusted that boo. You know what I'm saying? He's in the cloud of dust. So Joaquin Phoenix, of course, titular character here, and he steals the show adequately enough. There's never a moment where you're basically there. In fact, there isn't a moment where you're away from this character. You're steeped into his world, and The whole controversy right now with Martin Scorsese saying these things about the MCU and comic movies in general. Well, if anyone's not familiar with Scorsese's oeuvre, then they might make a big fuss about that, kick a big old dust cloud up about that. But the fact of the matter is that this is a Scorsese movie. At one point he was attached to this project in some degree.
Yeah, he was attached to direct at one point, and then he was going to be a producer, but he had to do some other stuff.
Right. So I don't know how much of that project survived in this, but I would argue that maybe all of it, or the people that took it up just said, fuck it, let's just make a Scorsese movie. And then, since he was part of this, give him a little tip of the hat. Because this is Taxi Driver, only with a clown. And, but, dare I say, and you know this, Taxi Driver is one of my all-time favorite movies. Dare I say this kind of beats Taxi Driver in a lot of ways. Taxi Driver is tragic. It's tragic to see this guy trying to fit into society. It's tragic to see him try to find a way to just find a purpose in life, only to be rebuked by everything, and then think that he can find that purpose again through violence and some form of statement. Here they took that exact same framework, but threw in these curveballs because of the Joker character that allowed them to take it a step further. Some people criticized Taxi Driver when it came out because it did actually inspire an act of copycat violence. Somebody tried to kill the fucking president because Travis Bickle became kind of a symbol of the zeitgeist. So there was a lot of controversy going into Joker, knowing that this was kind of a structural thing that they were going for. The fuss was all over the news. People were like, hadn't even seen the movie, didn't know what the fuck was really going to happen, and they were like, this is going to inspire shootings.
Yeah, there was like warnings, people going to movies and shit.
Commotions were made.
Idiots yelling shit in theaters.
Exactly. And I can see the reasoning behind that to a degree, but only the most simple-minded, for lack of better words, will see Joker as a symbol of good. The movie goes the extra mile to show you his fractured psyche, to show you that he doesn't care about what he's representing, to show you that this is not a man to be adulated, but rather a being that has fallen. It actually kind of holds a mirror up to our society. It shows us what we create, our own monsters. It shows us everything that's wrong with us.
There's even kind of like a slight spoiler, I guess, or spoiler. There's even kind of like a moment at the end where it flips that and shows that he created.
By the way, that ending, by this movie showing us how we can create our own monsters, and then taking from the tapestry and mythos of the Batman, where of course the Joker is from, it flips the script on itself and gives you that ending that, as a comic fan, is just like, you know what I'm saying? And you're waiting for moments in this movie. There's nothing that this movie is strictly based on when it comes to comic books, but that's par the course with Joker. But there's moments in this movie that are so finely put in, as far as callbacks or little things that hook it to the mythos of Batman, that just give you the chills if you're a fan of the comics. They just fit in just the right amount of things to tickle the old pickle or the spine, or just give you a straight old chill in the bones, because it's just so finely done, And that ending, I think, is like the perfect example of that. It really nails that in, and you're like blown the fuck away, man. Blown the fuck away. I can't do anything but sing the praises of that particular a master stroke at the end there. And then, like I said, it's like the cherry on the sundae. It builds up, so purposefully and methodically to that point that it's like watching a car crash, but one that's kind of fascinating in all the right ways. So anyway, tell me something about this flick, man. Anything, gimme.
I think the biggest thing that I don't think that anybody who hates this movie can disagree. I'm sure there's gonna be some assholes out there that the Joaquin kills it.
Mm-hmm.
In not only in his portrayal of Joker, which really doesn't really come towards the end ish. It's more like the way he plays a mentally ill person, like really realistically.
Yeah, really.
And it's kind of like the shit that it's kind of seeing, like someone who has like problems with that. It's kind of seeing what's in your mind. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like what you actually feel on screen.
Yeah.
And it's pretty impressive how he did that.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody has already written a million articles about this is an affront to the real mental illness, but there's all walks, including Joaquin.
Yeah.
There's all walks in that particular, all types of walks in that particular disability, and this one manages to steep you in so credibly into the mind of this guy that when at one point it reveals kind of like this illusory state that he was in, that it does this so expertly that it takes the viewer, I think, by surprise. It kind of blindsides you. Like, it hurts. It hurts to watch this guy go through what he's going through, and it's kind of the same with Taxi Driver, only that hurt is different. That's that social anxiety. That's that, just inability to gel with people. That's a different kind of hurt. It's almost like a cringe-inducing hurt there. Here, it's just like a you bear the burden with this dude to the point where you kind of empathize with him. I'd say it's fair to say you empathize with him as a person. And it walks that fine line really well, in terms of allowing you empathy. But again, the way the movie's structured, I'm sure people are going to spin this their own way, whatever they want. But allowing you empathy, but letting you see the tragedy of a state of being.
I think it does that pretty early on, and that it pretty much shows you that he's not all there from the beginning. Mm-hmm. So there's never that. There is like moments where you feel bad for him, obviously, because of what's happening, but you know that he's screwy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's interesting in that it doesn't just come out of nowhere. You know what I mean? It's from the beginning.
There's some moments in this film, sequences, shots that just stand out as almost like artistically beautiful. In the backdrop of all this, madness. So good, in fact, so well, in fact, that they give me like a just like a surge of a thrill to watch something done so expertly in terms of how it showed you things. When chaos, as this character has inadvertently, by the way, fomented, runs through the city. There's that particular sequence, which is towards the end of the movie, just kind of like hums with like the implications and the possibilities of what can be or what can come from this particular being, and it's kind of like a movie. Like yesterday, I watched a movie called The Sacrament, and it has that same effect. I'm not comparing the two as films. I'm saying in terms of what I'm about to talk about here, it has a similar effect in the sense that with The Sacrament, it's a movie that's an analog to the Jonestown Massacre. So you go in knowing certain things, and that only ups the suspense and ups the expectation. and keeps you always on edge and always kind of like, trembling with unease. This movie is the same, has the same effects, only exponentially more better, because to some degree where this is going to end up. And the whole time you're just like searing in a pan, dude. Like always just waiting for that moment to break. And the strange thing about this is that there's moments where that happens in this movie. And I think that is one of the parts where the movie touches the most on what it's like to be somebody struggling with a mental illness. That there is not one, cathartic moment where you're like, oh, now I'm this or this is happening. No, there are moments throughout this struggle where you go off the rails, so to speak. So I think that's a brilliant stroke of genius right there. I can't say enough about it. But anyway, give me something else, man.
I think that the music is quite good.
Mm-hmm.
It's like throughout.
Yeah.
There's this kind of like stringy violin hum, which works really well and gives everything kind of like this creepy feel.
Yeah, it's almost like a 70s era, horror soundtrack in a lot of ways. And in fact, I'll extend that to the way this thing is lit and presented. Now, first of all, aesthetically speaking, it even starts with the old Warner Brothers logo. It looks like a 70s, 80s Scorsese movie would look adequately enough. And it keeps that pervasive tone visually and aurally throughout, like you say. And occasionally it's punctuated by these, musical cues that are very adequate to what is going on. They accompany what is going on exceptionally well. So I'm with you, man. I got to give accolades to how this score was done and how the soundtrack was curated, because there was never a moment where I'm like, that song wasn't that good, or and with the score, there was definitely never a moment where I was like, well, that sucked. It was throughout top notch, top. What about the supporting cast? What can you tell me about them?
You got what's his name? Robert De Niro. So it makes perfect sense. I tried to give you a little shit back when you were criticizing it for looking too much like Taxi Driver, and I'm like, dude, it has him.
Taxi Driver and King of Comedy, by the way, is another movie this draws a lot on, which again, another Scorsese flick. So yeah, very apropos that the De Niro should be in this, with missing his massive shoes, by the way, that he wears behind the scenes.
He has massive shoes.
I'll show you a picture. It's not great. It wasn't on this movie though. But Franken's boots. That's all I gotta say.
Franken's boots.
But yeah, man, the cast throughout is pretty damn great. There's a particular subplot with Zazie Beetz that most famously played Domino in Deadpool. I can't really think of anything else. That I think that was kind of one of my favorite moments in the movie. Without spoiling anything, it's not exactly what it's presented as, this relationship between the Joker and this character. And again, that's one of those moments that kind of like hobbles you, that takes you out of sorts when you're watching the movie, because it does, if you immerse yourself in this movie, and it's easy to do so, you're literally looking through the eyes of the Joker character. So again, if immersed, this will kind of sideswipe you. It will kind of like take you out of sorts. And yeah, so that was one of my particular favorite parts. It's a small part, but it's a relevant part in ways that you wouldn't expect, which I thought was pretty awesome. And there's other little subplots with, I think most notably the one, that comic fans would want to know about would be, of course, the Thomas Wayne element in this, Bruce Wayne's father. Not going to ruin anything, but this plays into the fabric of the social surroundings of the Joker. The part of the reason that Gotham is steeped in urban decay, which for the majority of the movie we're led to believe is wholly responsible, or not wholly, but largely responsible for the condition of the Joker, is because of the elite, of which I guess at the top of the heap would be Thomas Wayne, and he kind of becomes this central focus for the Joker to exert some form of I don't know, like a contained rage or what have you. So it's very interesting to see Thomas Wayne portrayed in this light.
Yeah.
He's usually not vilified as he is here.
Originally going to be played by Alec Baldwin.
That
which this dude kind of looks like. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
there was
weird,
times
right?
where I was like, "Oh man, they just went with an Alec Baldwin lookalike."
His name was, Alex.
Yeah, Alex.
Hair lose.
Yeah,
I swear it's not Alec.
Alex Hairloo is a cool guy. I like his film, Roach Drink.
Oh man, starring Roach Drink. Anyway, yeah, man, it was very interesting to see Thomas Wayne portrayed in this light, and because of that, we do get to see Bruce Wayne, and there's something there for people that have a liking for the Burton version of Batman. There's an inkling of something there that might tickle their pickle. I've never was a fan of that particular take on the Bruce's damage coming from the murder of his parents. That particular take on it, I was never a fan of it. The Burton version, but
I like how careful you're being.
Yeah, but the way it's done here, though slightly similar to that, is so fucking good that it makes me love that in retrospect. Even though I know that if I revisit that, I'll still, dislike it, the Burton one. But
it's really corny and
it's not great. But this right here, holy shit! It just makes me want to see the Bat universe in this world. Now we don't know where this movie is headed. We don't know if this is going to be a standalone. We don't know if they're going to link this to any of the standing films. We know they can't link it to the DCEU stuff because Affleck or whatever. It just doesn't link. There's no feasible way it links there, but it could possibly link to the Matt Reeves Batman stuff.
Yeah,
maybe. Who knows? Whatever the case, it would almost be a shame not to see something come from this, because it sets up so much without ever once taking its eye off the Joker.
It doesn't come off cheap. It's not like,
it's not.
Oh, look, that guy's in the back or something. It never does that.
Yeah, this is a Joker movie through and through. There's no like, hey guys, check this out. And don't get us wrong, we like Batman vs Superman, but of course it was setting up tons of stuff in there. And we could say that about 100 other movies. There's no post-credit sequence or none of that nonsense. There's none of that stuff that we're come to expect from comic book movies. It's just part of the fabric of the film, and it's so subtle and so well placed that, again, you never lose focus on what this film is about, the Joker, period.
Yeah.
But then at the end, when everything happens, there you are with the Joker, and inadvertently, or I shouldn't say inadvertently, but very purposely, you've been kind of led down a road that now you just want to go down in terms of how this could, expound upon what we know about comic books, Batman, etc.
And it's been coming out that this was kind of a hard movie to get made. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of fighting from WB, which apparently is a thing now.
Yeah.
I think they probably underestimated what it was going to be and what it was going to bring in money-wise. They gave this movie $50 million, I think. Mm-hmm. Made like $10 grillion.
Yeah.
So hopefully that gives them some
is it
faith?
Is it like the highest grossing?
It's the highest profit.
Profit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it made like $1 billion recently.
Yeah, it's stomping through the box office. There you go. Hopefully this opens a whole new world up for comic book movies, because honestly, they're getting stale. And it's not that I hate any of them except for Iron Man 3 and a lot of Black Panther, but it's that the formula is predictable.
Yeah.
Especially with MCU stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest things that's interesting in this movie is that it doesn't follow any formula when it comes to, like,
to superhero movies. Yeah.
Yeah, to superhero movies. It's a very different movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't, like, set up a hero and there's no, like, clear villain or, well, you know what I mean, like, typically.
Yeah.
It's just about this dude.
Some would argue that Joker here is portrayed kind of as an anti-hero. I would argue different, you know. He's kind of like Mickey and Mallory and Natural Born Killers. You know, products of their environment, products of themselves, but ultimately glorified by their surroundings in the movie. You know, so no, I wouldn't place him in an anti-hero role, though the movie's narrative allows you to see society placing him that way. Very different to anything we've seen in superhero movies. We've seen it in comic books before, but in superhero movies, you know, really nobody has touched on an element like this yet. So here it is, and it's making quite the impact. So maybe this just makes people go, hey, maybe it's time to change up a few things here, which I hope is the case, because it's a landscape changer. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, I enjoy the MCU, but you know where you're at. You know, like, all right, well, this is gonna happen, and that blah, you know, and no amount of innovation has taken them outside of that comfort zone. This is horribly outside of the comfort zone, but it works fantastically. So I hope that's what it is. A shot in the arm to something that's really kind of surprisingly outlived its potential shelf life. And, you know, as comic fans, we want to see it continue. So this could be that shot in the arm to reinvigorate.
Slap in the face to Warner.
Yeah, no shit, man. Yeah, fuck you, Warner, for always fucking with shit.
Yeah.
What the fuck, man? Always cutting people's shit, always fighting with them.
Think about it. It only had 2 trailers and a teaser. Mm-hmm. Like, almost no publicity.
Yeah.
They gave it, like, a really small budget and shat it out.
Kind of an ironic thing if you think about it in context of the film. Warner treated this shit like society treated the Joker. And, well, I guess it showed them, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, man. There you have it. This is fixing to come out sometime soon on digital. I don't know when. But thanks to Stutter Shit.
Stutter!
We managed to see it. Thanks for making everything stuttery, you shit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, I absolutely love this movie. I can't wait to see it again. Non-Stutter Shit version. Amazing. Just an amazing achievement in the field.
I think if a movie can make you feel sad at a guy laughing uncontrollably, it's already done its job. Yeah, it hurts to see him laugh. It's like, oh man.
Yeah, man. It's tragic, man. It's a tragedy, and thankfully it doesn't turn into a comedy. You know, so there you have it. Let's give us our final thoughts and a score on a scale of 1 to 10. Again, to movies relative to it, in this case comic book movies. Spoiler, it's a fucking 10 million compared to you know, I don't even know if I've ever given a comic book movie a 10. I don't think I have, but if I have, fucking knock that sucker down a couple of points, because this thing just recharted everything. So yeah, 10, dude, a 10 for all those reasons we just spoke about and more that we couldn't speak about, because really this is a movie that, although if you're familiar with our conversations about movies, you know, we talk about just about everything once we give you the spoiler warning, and sometimes without a spoiler warning.
Most times.
But this is a movie you have to experience.
Yeah, I mean, and it really is. It's a movie that's not out yet. It's, you know.
Yeah, so.
I know a lot of people saw it, but it's kind of one of those things you have to be a little careful.
So, yeah, check it out. 10 across the board. Give it to me, man.
Yeah, it's a 10er. There is some really... It looks very unique. Mm-hmm. It sounds very unique. The whack freaking kills it. Super thin in this, by the way.
Yeah, disturbingly so.
Yeah, and then everything that it does is great. Even if it goes nowhere, this is a good standalone. And yeah, Warner stinks.
If this goes nowhere, that's a tragedy. And at the same time, like you say, it'll be a good standalone. But will it stand alone? I think that's a serious threat. I think this movie poses a serious threat. As much as it could be a reinvigorating shot to the arm, it could also be a serious fucking threat because this thing's raised the bar to, like, if you don't fucking reach this kind of level now, then you're just kind of throwaway fucking entertainment at this point. And there's room for that. Don't get me wrong. Not every movie has to be super deadly serious and you know, just buckling with gravitas in the best way. No. But you got to step your game up, homeboys. Everybody across the board. So, yeah, man. Check this movie out. Let us know what you think about it. If you've seen it already, let us know what you think about it. Hit like, share, subscribe, and those notification buttons because we're out.